Hello there and welcome to another episode of the Thoughtfully Made Fiber Vlogcast. My name is Amy Scher and I am a knitting pattern designer and I dabble in a bunch of other fiber arts such as sewing, spinning, and even a little bit of weaving. You can see my Harrisville loom here behind me. I'm here to talk to you today about autumn knitting. It's hard to believe it because it's still 90 degrees outside, but in just 2 weeks, my kids will be going back to school, and that means it's time for me to really hunker down and think about my autumn knitting. Now, as knitters who love to work with wool, many of us in the Northern Hemisphere consider autumn and early winter kind of like our Olympics of knitting. It's really the time that we all love to dive into our stash and find the things that bring us joy and that'll keep us warm and find something exciting and new to knit. So we're kind of gearing up into the busy season of what I do for a job, which is knitting design. While I adore knitting with summer yarns and summer fibers, part of me is always a little bit relieved when we get back into the woolen season and it's a little bit easier on my hands. And also, as a bonus, DK weight and thicker yarns tend to work up a lot faster. So today, let's dive into all the things that I've been up to for the early autumn. So without further ado, let's dive into all the things that I've been making this early autumn for my knitting design. Now, first up is the campus vest, which I am wearing today. This is a pattern that has been often requested by my customers. It is a DK weight V-neck cardigan vest. King Eye viewers who've been around for a long time may have remembered that this used to be a kids vest called Kay's Back to School Vest, which I released for my oldest daughter earlier this year. I'll post a picture up here somewhere, but I can no longer show you the original vest because it's been worn to death already. But basically, when I released that pattern, so many people asked for it for adults, and this is the result of that. It does have some key differences with the kids pattern. First of all, it comes with 2 different views, just because after I finished the first one that's super cropped, very similar to the kids one, I just couldn't resist making a longer full-length one. So the crop version is a straight body, and then the full-length version has an A-line body, which you may or may not leave out. But I really like the different vibes of both. I have a friend who said, I love the 2 sides of Amy Scher Makes. One side is just slightly slutty and one side is full-on trad wife, and that's kind of the 2 different vibes of these samples here, but of course you can style either sample however you want. So the sample I am wearing is knit, well, they're both knit from a DK weight yarn, and this one is the Rerum Natura's Penelope, and I think I can't even pronounce it, but it's this beautiful pearl gray, kind of lavenderish color. And this was such a joy to work with. I have worked with Rerum Natura's Albertine before for my Slightly Sassy V, but this is my first time using its DK weight cousin, Penelope, and it was so fun because it has a lot of plies, I think 6, and it's super bouncy and has great recovery, which after a whole summer of knitting with cotton blends and silk, my fingers thank this yarn for having lots of crimp and lots of recovery. It is non-superwash merino, 90%, quite fine. This is probably the softest merino that we sell in my yarn shop, and it has 10% silk, a mulberry silk, so that makes it have a little bit of a sheen, and it creates just such a beautiful drape in the fabric, and it's very comfortable to wear, as you can see. So this one I'll be wearing on its own like a vest or like a tank top until it gets too cold for that, and then I'll probably be layering it over t-shirts and things like that. One of the things that I really paid attention to is the armhole depth and the v-neck depth. So I have written quite a few v-neck patterns, and I gotta say that the v-neck placement can be a little bit tricky, but I think that I've come to like a really good rhythm with my patterns. So what I actually do is I grade the v-neck proportional to the entire body. So the size chart from the shoulder to the hip, I'll grade the v-neck in a percentage to that. It just doesn't make any sense to me to have the v-neck go up like longer proportionally as you go up in sizes, because then you end up with a v-neck that's like in the belly button in some of the sizes and then all the way up here for the small sizes. That's just not it. So one of the things I really paid attention to is that the v-neck will be wearable with a bra, and the armhole is also wearable with a bra. None of that will be visible. It has great coverage. So this is particularly exciting to me because I love a multi-purpose garment. I want to be able to wear it for many seasons to come. So the more times of the year that I can manage to wear something, the better. Now, I'm actually not a super huge fan of wearing DK weight anything in the summer. So once I finish this video, I swear this is gonna get put away until like probably like September, but by then it'll have cooled down enough and I'll be able to enjoy this vest at last. Next, I'm going to talk briefly about the longer sample of the campus vest, which I'll pop a picture of up here, but I am not going to wear it right now because it's super hot. It is the longer A-line version of the same pattern, and I have knitted a size up in size C to show it a little bit more oversized, and I think this will be a great layering piece come winter. I knit my second campus vest using Harrisville Daylights, which is a woolen spun DK weight yarn. Now, I've never used this yarn before, but I have used other yarns that come from Harrisville Mill, and I have enjoyed them all. I've used them, I think I've used Shetland or Highland in the cone for weaving. Beautiful, very fun to work with. And I've also used Shelter from Brooklyn Tweed, which is also milled at the same mill. So Daylights is a very interesting yarn. It's American Cormo blended with various wools, and it is grown in Montana and spun in New Hampshire, so kind of like a like an eco-friendly, low carbon footprint situation where everything is grown and milled in the US, and it results in this beautiful lofty yarn. So Daylights is a fun concept. I think Daylights, Harrisville Designs, originally came out with the line Nightshades, which is black with specks of colors on it, and Daylights is kind of the white, off-white answer to that yarn. We carry all the colors in our shop right now, and I chose Lint, which is kind of an off-white with purple specks, and I'm not gonna even try to show what it looks like in video form because I feel like the purple's not gonna show up. So I'm gonna actually pop a picture up here of a comparison of all the different colors. So when I'm looking at the yarn from afar, it looks like off-white beige, but when I get close up, I can see the purple bits, and these flecks particularly show up beautifully under direct sun or kind of like a dappled sunlight, and it's so interesting and has so much depth, and I really love working with it. Now, if you've been here a while, you know that there are certain wools that I work with, such as Nutiden, where I pick it up and I just want to smell it so bad, and Daylights is one of those yarns. I don't know what they do to this wool, but it smells so good. It smells so sheepy and so clean and so woolly, and it's just such a joy to work with this yarn. So if you've never worked with a woolen spun yarn before, I highly recommend Daylights. I find that it's pretty soft to the hand compared to some of the other woolen spun yarns out there, and it's a little bit sturdier also than a few other woolen spun yarns I have tried. So it is quite a good one. I highly recommend anything from Harrisville Designs. Honestly, I've never disliked a yarn that they mill, so highly recommend. This is the only one of their yarns that we carry in the shop right now. And we also carry the Rerum Natura Penelope, which I am wearing today. So both of these and the campus vest are available today. So around the time that my kids were about to get out of school, we got hit by like 3 different colds, like tested for everything under the sun, all negative, just cold. So we've been very unlucky with colds in this household, and that is why I have missed, like I planned to make a few vlogs in June and that just didn't happen. And then July rolled by, and now it's August, and my kids are going back to school soon. So hopefully I will be able to vlog on a better rhythm from now on. But while we were gone, I released the Phoebe top, which comes in 2 different samples. One of them is Pure Silk by Knitting for Olive, and the other one is in Saona by Wool Dreamers. And I've really enjoyed making both of these for summer, and I think that they would also be really great for autumn layering if you prefer a lighter weight knit. I think that fingering weight knits for the autumn are kind of underrated because they kind of get you closest to that retail ready-to-wear look, if that is something that you'd like to go for. And they are more economical to knit up, first of all, and because of the yardage, there's just more yards per gram, so they're more economical, and they're also better layering pieces because they won't create as much bulk under your winter jackets and winter coats and stuff. So I really look forward to layering the Phoebe tank or the Phoebe top over other things or under other things. So I really look forward to layering the Phoebe top under work jackets and blazers and things. I'm actually in the market for a good blazer, but I don't want to buy like a crappy fast fashion one, so I'm kind of on the hunt for that right now. Hopefully I will find something really nice soon. So I started to really think more about knitting for winter using fingering weight yarns in deep winter last year. I just kept thinking to myself in December during our really bad cold snap that it would be so nice to have a fingering weight or sport weight base layer to layer under all my other things and to wear. I find that all my really woolen layers are great for fall and spring. The Nutidens that are held double and kind of Aran to chunky weight are great for those seasons, but when it comes to winter, I really do need that extra windbreaker jacket or extra puffer jacket, and then I can't fit my sweaters under those. So I started to knit up a long wrist length sleeve version of my slightly Sassy V pattern. I'll pop a picture to compare it for you here, but basically this was a summer pattern that came in two views, short sleeves and 3/4 sleeves, and I just really wanted one that's in a longer length for myself. And it took me all year. It's just taken me so long to finish this between other projects and other designs. For this version, I decided to use a tubular bind off on every surface because I love a good sewn bind off. I just think it's so beautiful and creates such a heritage, like a kind of like an heirloom, beautiful, handmade finish that's so clever and so elegant. The last thing I have to do on it is make the neckband, which in the pattern was an I-cord bind off, but I'm like low-key considering going rogue and doing like a narrow little band and then making that part of my mod and then doing like the similar tubular bind off all around here. I don't know. What do you think? I hesitate to do that because then I'd have to write it when I write up my mod for the long sleeve. I do plan to release the directions for the long sleeve as like a free add-on, so if you've bought the pattern, you'll be receiving that in a month or two. Once I get my act together and finish the sample, I will do that. So my original samples for the Slightly Sassy V were definitely made using kind of more summery yarns. The Rerum Natura Albertine, which is the fingering weight version of the yarn I'm wearing that I talked about earlier. And also Linen Quill, which is one of my favorite all-time yarns by Purl Soho. And while I love those, I wanted something a little more substantial and woolly and like 100% wool for this particular sample, the full-length sample, just because it'll be for winter layering, so I wanted that extra air. So I asked for yarn support from Purl Soho again, and this is a new to me yarn called Good Wool. It's extraordinarily popular, so I'm sure many of you will have heard of it or even used it before. This one is one of their undyed colors. It's called Driftwood Gray, and it comes in a skein like this, or a hank. It comes in a hank like this, and it is so beautiful, lightly twisted, good recovery, good bounce, 100% Highland wool, and just such a great hard-wearing wool for the autumn. So I will be finishing writing this up very soon and get it looked over again by my tech editor and send out the mod for that soon. So if you have the Slightly Sassy V pattern, please keep a lookout for this update. Should be within a month or two. I say that, but it's taken me like literally a year to work on it, so I don't know. I'm very slow knitter these days, so we will see when it actually happens. I just can't wait to finish it. Good wool was such a joy to work with, and I really like it knit up at this gauge, like a nice firm gauge. It is listed as a DK weight, but I really find Good Wool to be more of a sport weight kind of yarn. It's not quite up to the DK that I'm wearing, and I don't think it would work very well for example, the campus vest. But some of my test knitters for the Hibernate pullover have used Good Wool, and that's at 21 stitches per 4 inches or 10 centimeters. So who knows? I'm just tucking out of my butt. Maybe I don't know anything at all. I prefer things knit at a firmer gauge, but you may not, so take that as you will. This is a sports weight to DK weight kind of yarn, very flexible. It has loftiness and great bloom, so it will fill in a little bit. I really like it with the structure that it provides here, but you know, your mileage may vary. So that is my autumn winter slightly sassy V. If you haven't made one already and you want one in a full length sleeve, I highly suggest that you try it out. Coming very soon. You can start working on the body now, and then by the time I release the sleeve modification notes, you'll have that ready to go for the sleeves. So next, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about my vacation knitting. So a couple weeks ago, my family and I went on a trip back to Los Angeles. It is our first time in 3 years going back to Los Angeles since we moved from Los Angeles, and it was so much fun. We got to see a lot of friends. We saw a beautiful concert. A friend got us free tickets since she works in a musical nonprofit, and we saw like a history of Broadway musical concert. Beautiful music from Oklahoma, Company, The Wiz, Hamilton, everything. So that was super fun. We also went to the beach, which is funny because anybody who's ever lived in East LA knows that we don't go to the beach because it's like an hour and a half away in traffic. So while we lived in LA, we didn't actually go to the beach, but I got to bring my kids to the beach and that was really fun. I met up with Lauren from AB in the Bonnet and we just did some beach knitting, and this is what I knit while we were there. I cast on this rib sock on the plane to Los Angeles, got basically to the cuff, and then I worked the heel over the course of like literally a week because I was so busy like out doing stuff. And then I worked on the gusset decreases while I was on the beach with Lauren. So I'll always take that memory with me wherever I take the sock. So this is gonna be an upcoming pattern. It is a basic sock that starts with 1x1 rib and then rib throughout. I really like the detail where the heel continues the rib on the flap. I think that's really fun, and I originally worked it up in just a single color, and I really like it that way as well. I am using Coast to Coast yarn in, I think this is called The Usual from the Soup collection, and then this one is Currents. And this is going to be coming to my shop very soon, yarn and all. This will be going out to my testers probably next week after you see this, and yeah, I really enjoy this. This will probably be the pattern that I offer for free. Like anytime you buy a sock yarn, you can get a like basic sock pattern for free, and that is what I plan to do with this pattern. So I probably will knit this pattern over and over and over again. I have a fondness for playing ribbed patterns because I find that with my skinny ankles, I really need the variability in circumference and that cinchiness for it to fit well. A ribbed leg all around ensures that the ankle will fit my skinny ankle well, but the top will also stay up and stretch out. So while the rib does continue into the heel, it does not into the foot. So the bottom of the foot is smooth because I don't like to have ridges on my foot when I'm walking around. That's uncomfortable to me. But the top of the foot is still ribbed throughout so that it has a nice and close fit. So yeah, this is what's coming up. I'm very excited to be adding another sock pattern to my library. I don't get to design socks often because I've really become kind of known for garment design and people don't really buy my sock patterns. So I do have to make a living, so I have slowed down on my sock designing, but I love designing and knitting socks. So I hope to work up many more of these. I've cast on the second sock just yesterday and sent this to my tech editor. Hopefully I'll finish the second sock sooner. This one took me like 11 days just because I was on vacation. So vacation knitting is not really a thing for me. I have a hard time making progress while I'm out and about. I do my best knitting like at my desk, just concentrated with TV on or with a Broadway show. Yeah, and then with like a decent Broadway show, pro shot, I can knit for 2 straight hours or 3 straight hours. So that's typically how I get my best knitting done. I really have trouble knitting on the go. But I do have some projects on the go that I will share about next time. I think this video is running a little long. So finally, very briefly, I'd like to tell you a little bit about our newest stitch markers. So our assistant product designer, Symphony, is very much a cat person. So while I've never had a cat, she has foster cats for a really long time. She took charge and project coordinated this beautiful set of cat-themed knitting stitch markers. We called them the Cozy Cats or the Fiber Friends, and they are here to accompany your projects. We have Adventurous Ginger, whose personality matches real gingers that Symphony and I both know in real life. And we also have the Sleepy British Mohair, which has been our best seller so far. We love our crocheting friends, and we wanted to make sure that we include crochet friends in our designs and our products. So the British Mohair is covered in a crochet blanket, and I think it's so cute. All of our stitch markers have a clasp on them so that you can use them as progress keepers, as removable stitch markers, and also they work for crochet. We also have the Knitting Tabby, which is not that popular, but is my personal favorite because it's making the face that I make when I'm very concentrated in my knitting, my resting bee face. And then finally, we have the Hot Cocoa Tuxie, who I just think is having a great cozy autumn. And I hope that you will take a look at these stitch markers and try them out. I really, really love them, which is why we keep making them. We have so many ideas, just bursting with ideas. This has been a very enjoyable, fun, hectic, intense year of transitioning from just knitting design to knitting design and also yarn shop with exclusive products. But it's been really fun to flex different parts of my brain and different skills that Symphony and I have to bring all of these products to life. Thank you so much for all your support. I know I kind of disappeared after my May video, but I read all your comments and a lot of you purchased from our shop from that video, and we just wanted to say thank you, thank you, thank you for supporting our little tiny growing shop and making this life possible. So let me know what you think of all the things that I've been making. I'd love to know which one is your favorite, and if you've got your eye on maybe a pattern or you have any questions about it, please leave us a comment. I'd love to find out. And if you can, please give us a like and a subscribe, and I will be back to talk to you very soon about more autumn knits.